you prefer building from the ground up or purchasing existing stores as you've grown your chain slowly through the years?
I've really grown by purchasing existing. There was only one location that it was kind of a rehab. It was built as a laundromat, mainly a top load laundromat in like the early 70s.
Right.
It closed down. Landlord lost possession, or the real estate owner went into bankruptcy. I purchased it in 2011 when the town of Kokomo was in a deep recession due to the automotive ties that it was, and it was a lot of work. I had basically four walls, a ceiling, and a floor, and just uh, started designing the store that I wanted to put in there.
Right.
And it was a lot more work than just taking over a location where
Hmm.
you get the ongoing cash flow that you purchase the day that you take possession, but then
Hmm.
so slowly renovate it into what a modern laundromat should be, which is more uh, I ideally say a 40 pound to 50 pound machine, depending on the brand, is the most common machine. And the old laundromats were top loaders, or they are built to have a bunch of 20 pounds in the business. And
Right.
existing, you can kind of get a tell by what the store is doing on its revenue, whether adding more bigger machines would help you, or if you're missing on the smaller machines, and replacing top loaders with 20-pound hard mount machines, I see is the best fit because they're a better investment for the long term. Soft
Mhm.
mount are cheaper, but you won't get the 15 to 20 years out of them.
Right.
So
Right. Like length of life. Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, certainly there's pros and cons to both ways of going about it, building new or buying existing. And I know that one of the cons or one of the disadvantages you hear people say with buying existing is you're kind of stuck with someone else's plan or someone
yeah,
else's
yep.
layout. Have you found that in the stores that you've had through the years?
Somewhat. I only have one location that I still limited because it was designed for 22 top loaders, and
Yeah.
the height of the drains that leave the front load machines is too low. So I've incorporated drain troughs and then sewer ejector pumps. That is good and bad. When one fails, you can have floods and stuff. But
Mhm.
I don't own the real estate at that location, so going in and cutting pits in is kind of out of it. But
Yeah.
also my electrical is still in conduit below the floor. That is the bad part of that location.
Right.
But drain troughs can really help you out whenever you go to put in front load machines, as long as your main line is big enough to do that. And that's been the biggest helper with stores that I have bought, have been designed for nothing but top loaders. Location number 2 and location number 4 were designed for about 42 top loaders. And if it wasn't for the drain troughs, it would be really hard to have that, because the drain lines just can't carry all the water when an 80-pound washer dumps all the water. It's hard. But then again, with drain troughs, you have risk of, well, anything in a sealed drain or a drain trough, you can have debris go down and clog a drain. Yesterday, I had a 50-pound washer that had an F14. A shoe sole came out, and it was
Oh,
causing issues with
yeah.
drag on the
Mhm.
drum. And then also, since I had one of the shoe soles, I went and ran my handheld snake down the drain.
It's
By
got to be.
chance, it was in my trap and pulled it out. I'm glad I did that, because that's going to happen. Well, if you go on vacation, that stuff like that tends to happen. So there's been a lot of different things that can help an older store get into modern day, and it all depends on, if you own the real estate, there's probably some limitations of cutting out the floors and also knowing where your electrical line is. This
Right.
summer I installed 7 20-pound Dexter Express machines in a store that all my electrical conduit was in the floor, and I missed every single one, and I was so fearful that I was going to hit one putting all those
Yeah.
bolts in,
Yeah.
because
Oh, look at yeah. Nice.
so there are different advantages and disadvantages, and there's a lot of it as a newbie in the business to somebody, they won't know all that, and it would come with the relationship of a distributor. But sometimes the new store owners don't have the finances to get a good relationship with a distributor, because they don't have the money to go and completely re-equip the store.
Mhm.
And some might want to pull that trigger, but if you don't know your market, you can
Right.
take a good opportunity and be struggling to where
Right.
your opportunities are or your success is very limited if you do too much too fast. But once you get to several stores, the risk isn't as bad, because you have cash flows from several locations that help transform a store, and that's been my
Mhm,
progress. Where for a while I was very slow to expand because I was
mhm,
in the comfortable state of getting all the debt paid off, and now through acquisition I prefer is cash payment where I don't have to worry about if stuff goes down or if the opportunity goes south because economic environments. And
mhm,
that's, during the recession, COVID, I know somebody that was in the rent to own business, and they were stating that a lot of people turned in their washer and dryers because they needed their couches, their TVs, everything that they rent to own except for the washer and dryer because it's what they could afford to give up or had to sacrifice. And a lot of us probably did pretty well through COVID just because
mhm,
the, let's say, $40 a week for a washer and dryer at home, some
mhm.
families realize they can spend a lot less at the laundromat. So,
Sure. It
and
was
that
one of the
was,
first things to go. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, because they
Mhm,
needed everything else to stay at home and stuff. And it
mhm,
took probably about a year or so for those customers probably to get back on their feet, and they got their, washer and dryers and stuff like that back.
mhm.
And yeah, I think I got way off topic, but
No,
there's been
no,
a
no,
lot of
no.
different things that I bought 2021 after COVID. COVID had nothing to do with the acquisition. Paul was 78 years old, and we've been friends for quite a while. And I always, hey, let me know when you're ready to retire.
Mhm,
And he wasn't ever ready. Now when I see him, he's glad he did, and he's
mhm.
82 or 83 now, 81 or
Yeah,
82. And
right.
anyways, your opportunities have. I'm skipping subjects, but it's like your opportunities of the stores that you buy depends on their previous store owners too, because older store owners might
Mhm.
not make that financial reinvestment because everything so expensive even before COVID. When they're
Mhm.
used to $800 top loaders, that's
Right,
quite expensive or quite cheap compared to what a front loader cost, even 10 years ago. So,
right, right, and they're at a different stage too as far as
yes,
that goes, making that
yes.
investment. Sure.